Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Daly. I spent 20 years with United Press International, most of it with the old UPI Radio Network. And my favorite assignment was going on the road producing and hosting American Montage. It was an hour-long weekly program. Now here's an edited version of one of those shows. Ferry boats are great tourist draws, and the ferry boats that operate on Lake Champlain between the coastline of New York State and Vermont see a lot of people from around the country coming to visit, to see the scenery, and to enjoy just the ferry boat atmosphere. Chris Frazier came a long distance to ride the Lake Champlain Ferry. I caught up with him on his vacation from Scotland. Chris, we're riding across Lake Champlain here. You're in the midst of what you tell me is 3 weeks here in the States. Where all have you been so far, and have you been here before? What are your impressions?
We've been Boston, up the Maine coast, and we spent the last 2 or 3 days near just before Burlington. We've been here once before, Florida, and briefly in Massachusetts.
Boy, that's a difference in climate.
It is, yes.
What is it like in Scotland weather-wise this time of year?
Well, we had a heat wave just before we came away, which for us is sort of mid-80s. But we only get them once every 10 years, so we don't have air conditioning to cope with it.
So it's fairly moderate most of the time.
Yeah.
A lot of ferries where you're from in Europe. This is only the second time I think of my life I've ridden a ferry. Once I went from Nova Scotia over to St. John, New Brunswick, and that was a long trip in very bad weather, but the view is just great here.
We've got lots of ferries with lots of islands off the coast of Scotland, so regular ferry services run.
I've been told the only islands not to go to are the Orkneys. They're no fun.
I've never been, but they're flat.
I once read in the Michelin Guide that the good thing about the Orkneys is there was frequent service out of there.
No comment to make.
What's your favorite spot in the U.S. so far, Chris? What if you could come back another time? Where would you like to go?
I like Boston. As a city, I think it's great. Where we've been the last few days reminds me of home in Vermont with the mountains and the...
It's a really rugged coastline, yes.
Yeah.
Well, have a good stay here.
Thanks.
Also on board the ferry boat, Eileen Gannon from nearby Stillwater, New York. Eileen, this is a great view. You and I are standing at the very front. I don't know all the nautical terminology. We're on the foredeck, except this only has one deck. The view out here is absolutely gorgeous. You were telling me, though, earlier that this is not the first time you've ridden a ferry boat.
No, I've ridden quite a few ferries at different places, but this is lovely. I was just telling my companion that the first time I ever had a kiss from my husband was waiting for the ferry back to College Park, Maryland, to Annapolis. That was years ago, of course.
Yeah, there are far fewer ferries. I know you go to major cities. Well, you're from Missouri originally, I think you told me, Cape Girardeau, but yes. you realized that years ago across the Mississippi there at St. Louis there were ferry boats.
Yes, well, that was before my time. I always remember the very old...
Well, I didn't expect you've heard about them.
Yes, I have, and fascinating they are.
Well, Eileen, the weather is clearing here. It was a little threatening a while ago. I didn't think it would move this quickly. We're really moving, as they say.
Yes, I was just thrilled to get on this. It's such a lovely view of Lake Champlain. I felt like one of those figures on the front of a Viking boat or something. We can stand right in the front of this.
Well, now we're coming up. What is that? I thought that was a little sea monster. It's a bird that has emerged from the water.
I have no idea. It's not a ptarmigan.
Well, it's soaking wet. It always amazes me. You see birds that can come down and pluck fish from the water. You say you're from Stillwater, New York?
Yes, from Stillwater, near Albany.
Oh, okay.
And this is the site of the battles of Saratoga in 1777.
Give us a little history lesson there. Well, Eileen, enjoy the rest of the trip over, and thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Lake Champlain is a beautiful body of water. As a matter of fact, Champlain County, Vermont, is a series of islands inside the lake. You look at it on the map, it looks really, really odd. There are ferries going back and forth that are not only a basic part of transportation, but have become a real tourist mecca. The view from the deck of the ferry boats is absolutely amazing. it also affords a lot of young people who love the sea and boats and the water to get some genuine experience. Pat O'Brien is going to the Merchant Marine Academy. He took some time to talk to me. He is employed by the ferry boat company during the summer. I asked him if technically it were a boat, a ship, a vessel, how you like to refer to the ferries.
This is a ship, sir. This is a 100-ton ferry, maybe docking 30 to about 40 cars. Its sole purpose is to make convenience for those passengers going between Vermont and New York. It's a ship.
Would be impossible, really, to have any type of causeway across here. For one thing, you would obstruct ship traffic going up and down the lake.
Not only that, it'd be very ugly. No one wants to look at a bridge. The ferries are it's actually kind of interesting. The ferries have been here for many, many, many years. I've had the pleasure of crewing for Captain Spence up in Burlington, and he's been on the lake since 1950, and he has a lot of valuable stories. And I think these ferries are good for the lake, good for the tourist industry, and I think we need to look at its value for the lake.
Well, the lady at the information booth was telling me that this was kind of an undiscovered secret, but now that people have realized what an incredible, rare view you get from here, the tourism on the ferries is up this year.
I would say so, sir, but what's really hurt kind of the ferries is the fact that the Canadian dollar, the exchange the currency. So, I mean, I think but it's noticed that we have a lot more people coming down from Canada, and they seem to enjoy it, and so do the Vermonters and New Yorkers, and it's not uncommon to see a lot of people just come out for the ride.
Pat, one thing that I had not thought of, and that is here you have a Merchant Marine Academy insignia on your shirt,
yes, sir,
is the fact that you, in this part of the world, you don't have to be on the ocean to be a sailor. This is kind of the sixth Great Lake, isn't it?
Exactly, sir. A lot of...
By the way, you can call me Dennis. I feel old when you keep... I know it's respectful, but...
Well, Dennis, the Academy graduates, a lot of graduates are now going on ferry boats and the gambling boats. That's the future of the fleet, it seems like. All these ships are going foreign flag, and a lot of graduates go on the gambling boats up and down the Mississippi, Lake Champlain, up and down the Florida, Galveston, Gulf of Mexico coast. So the industry is going now toward the ferry boats.
How did you first get interested in all of these nautical things?
Well, my family, my father's in the Navy, and I got appointed by Senator Leahy to go to the Academy. I applied for it and was accepted last year. And every day that I'm down there, I learn more and more about the Navy and what it has to offer, and I enjoy it more and more.
Where is the Merchant Marine Academy?
It's located in Kings Point, New York, off the right at the end of Queens, right off about 10 miles from Manhattan, and we have quick access to the ocean and right to the city.
You know, a lot of people in broadcasting don't realize that we owe a lot of our heritage in a strange sort of way to the Navy, because the first reliable clocks were the result of marine chronometers. You could have a pendulum clock, which revolutionized timekeeping, but you couldn't have a pendulum swinging back and forth on a ship. So there was this tremendous push, I guess, in the 16 and 1700s to come up with a reliable clock you could use on board, and broadcasting and all types of science benefited from that.
Exactly. Just think that our war hero, John Paul Jones, the Revolution, he was the United States Merchant Marine before he was the United States Navy. He went on to being one of our folklore heroes for the War Revolution.
This week on American Montage, we were aboard one of the ferries that ply the waters of Lake Champlain back and forth between Vermont and the coast of New York. This one leaves from Essex on the New York side, and what a beautiful, wonderful city Essex is. Maybe sometime you and I can get up there and spend some time looking at all the historic buildings and the sites and the craft shops in Essex, New York. And there you have it, another edited episode of one of the American Montage programs prepared for the UPI Radio Network back in the 1980s and 90s. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with me this week. And check YouTube for more American Montage programs.